Welcome, creative adventurers. I'm Debbie Cohn with D Cohn Designs. I'm so glad you're here today. This is bonus week for the It's Christmas Time Quilt Along and free patterns. So have you been making a few blocks from the It's Christmas Time quilt, but you're running out of steam, your priorities change, your schedule changed, and you don't know what to do with those few blocks? Or you looked at the pattern and you love it, but you're a little intimidated by so many blocks? Or are you just looking for a quick holiday gift? Then this video is just for you. In today's video, I'll show you how to make a quick and easy table runner that will be perfect for any spot in your home for holiday decor or to give as a holiday gift. I'll be using my test blocks from my It's Christmas Time quilt. As I was designing it, I made test blocks out of flannel scraps. And I thought, why let that go to waste? Let's just make a quick table runner out of it. In this video, I'll show you how to choose which blocks, the design, the orientation, and the steps to make this quick and easy table runner. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment for me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Then head on over to my blog at dcohndesigns.com. That's where you'll find today's free pattern for the table runner. Please go ahead and go over there, download the free patterns for all the blocks in the quilt along and this bonus table runner, but please do so by December 31st, 2021. I've extended the deadline for the blocks in the quilt as well as this bonus table runner so that you can download the patterns for free throughout the month of December as a quick and easy holiday gift to you as well. Thank you so much for being a part of my channel. Let's get started. As you can see on my makeshift design wall here, I've got the blocks from the It's Christmas Time quilt along. These are actually the test blocks. Before I made the actual quilt, I tested each block as I was designing it, and I made it from scraps of flannel, Christmas type style fabrics that I had laying around. Except of course, when I got to the house block, I had run out of the gray flannel, so I just made it in regular fabrics. I'm thinking for my table runner, I'm going to do 5 blocks. So the first do is measure the size of the table or the space that you're going to use your table runner for. Now you could use this table runner for a table, obviously, but a console table, a sofa table, a coffee table, maybe a breakfast bar space, or on top of a dresser in a guest bedroom. Any of those places would be great for a simple holiday table runner. For my purposes, my table is about 65 inches or so, so I'm going to only do 5 of the blocks because I don't want it to go past the ends of my table. I'm thinking I'm not going to do the house block. 1, it's not the same fabrics, and 2, it's not quite as seasonal as the other blocks. These speak to the holiday. The house block I could actually use in any time in any fabric. So I'm going to choose these. After I measure my table, I decide how many blocks. For me, as I said, I'm going to use 5 blocks. You may need to use 4 if it's a small breakfast table, or maybe 6 or 7 or more if you have a very large table in your home. Whatever works for you. If you choose an even number of blocks, you may need to decide which way you want them oriented, half and half. If you have an odd number, then my suggestion is that you choose the star as the omnidirectional block for the middle and then decide how you want your other blocks to lay. Next, I've chosen to do 5 of the blocks. I'm not going to do just 1, but you could just do 1 block and repeat it. For example, 5 stockings, or maybe you like the 5 ornaments, or you really like the 5 stars and you want to do it in Hanukkah colors or Kwanzaa colors. Whatever works for you will certainly work for this table runner. All right, so I've decided I'm going to use the first 5 blocks, and I actually like the order that they're in. And here's my thinking on this. I've got bright colors on the presents block, bright colors on the stockings block. I've got my omnidirectional star here, and I'm balancing a gray here and a gray here. So I like how the color draws the eye across the table runner. My next decision is about which ornament I should use. I happen to do the test block in both an upper and a lower. I'm thinking I want to do the lower one because I feel it balances the table runner. Let me set that aside. It balances it better. I have an upper tree here and a lower ornament there. I'm kind of a geometric kind of person who likes the symmetry, so this I think will be my layout for the table runner. So you want to keep in mind the size of your table, how many blocks you want to make, and which blocks. The last thing is the orientation of your blocks. Do you want them all facing the same direction like this, which is what I will do because my table sits against a wall under a window. So mostly people do not sit on the far side near the window. They sit away from the window. But you might, if you're going to have your table runner going down the middle of your area, you might want to orient them this way. Perhaps these two face toward the head of the table on this side. These two face this way toward the other end of the table. That's one orientation. Or you might do them opposite, going the other way. So those on the far side of the table would see these blocks right side up. And then those folks on this side of the table would see these blocks. So in that way, everybody gets to see part of the beautiful table runner that you've made. So keep that in mind, choosing your orientation, what's going to work best for you and your space. Let's go ahead and sew the blocks together. It will be very quick and easy. We will just sew them. I've decided not to put sashing between the blocks. The blocks finish at 9.5 and then 9 inches when they're in the table runner. And when I have 5 blocks, that's already 45 inches. For my table, I don't need sashing. If you want, you could either add blocks or you could even add sashing between your blocks if that would work for you. I do realize it will cut the points a little bit on my star, but that's okay with me. I'm not a sewing perfectionist. I just want a nice piece of holiday decor, and I'm going to be very happy with it. After you sew your blocks together, then you'll want to sew on the borders. In the pattern, I'm calling for simple borders around the whole table runner, and then you'll want to find your backing fabric of your choice. I'm just using some scraps I had laying around, and then make a binding in your preferred method and style, and sew it on. It should be quick and easy. Let's get started. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give it a big thumbs up. Please tell a friend, and also head on over to my blog at dconedesigns.com. That's where you'll find the free bonus table runner pattern. Be sure to download it by December 31st, 2021. After that, I'll be consolidating it as a bonus in my It's Christmas Time quilt pattern, and then it will be for sale on my website after January 1st, 2022. First, I want to talk briefly about choosing the fabric that you want for your border and your binding. In my particular case, my test blocks had a dark gray background, and the prints were a variety of gray. In that case, a lighter gray with white, some red and green plaid, some more gray and red, and more of that same gray and red, and then a red and black buffalo check. I didn't want the gray. It's too drab. It wouldn't contrast well. I like this, but I didn't think it brought enough color to the table runner. I could use the red and green, but I was thinking about what I would use for the backing. So I wanted whatever I choose for the borders and binding to blend with my backing. So red and green and black was not what I had in mind. Next, I had this fabric here, which is a combination of a dark red and a gray, which would blend nicely, but I wasn't sure that it would give enough contrast and enough color to the table runner as a whole, but it might work for the backing. So, and then last I have my buffalo check, my red and black buffalo check, and ultimately, as you'll see here, that's what I chose for the borders and the binding. So for my fabric A and B, these are the strips that I've cut for the borders. These are the side borders. You'll have to piece your side borders because your table runner will be longer than 40 inches, which is with the fabric. So my table runner is about 45 or so. So I just had to add a small piece, and you'll see in the pattern, it tells you approximately how much you'll need for the 5 blocks, but if you have longer or shorter, you'll need to adjust the length of your side borders. Then for your fabric C, I was able to cut whole pieces for my fabric C, which would be the top and the bottom borders. Again, I'm choosing for my borders the buffalo check. But what I did here was I cut it on the bias. And the reason is, quite frankly, I'm not good at sewing checks or stripes exactly straight when it comes to borders and binding. Because if you make even the slightest bobble in your stitching on your seams, it's going to show that it's wobbly. So I use a trick or a hack or maybe just a change, and I cut anything, if I'm using a stripe or a plaid, I cut it on the bias. It looks great, and it doesn't show any minor seam mistakes that you make. For my binding, I also chose the red and black buffalo check. That would be fabric E. Let me show you the backing that I chose. I actually ended up choosing this for the backing because it did combine some of the red and the gray and the cream, which I thought blended well. And then when you have it with the binding, it will go with the front and the back. The binding will go with the front and the back, and the backing picks up on the colors in a couple of the blocks. So I thought that would work well. So that's what I've got for my fabrics. You'll just want to cut your strips according to the pattern directions. Both the borders and the binding are cut at 2.5-inch strips. You of course could modify the width of your borders and of course the width of your binding as you desire. But for me, I felt this was adequate to showcase the blocks without overwhelming them. So let's go ahead and start stitching our table runner blocks together. As you can see here, I've stacked my table runner blocks and they're ready to go. A quick reminder is to make sure that you have your blocks stacked in not only the correct order, but the correct orientation that you want for your table runner. In my particular case, they're all going to face the same direction. But again, depending on your design and your desire, you want to have them going in opposite directions or whichever way works best for you. Have them all stacked up in the correct order. Just double check so you don't sew the whole table runner and realize, oops, one's out of order. I've done that and it's annoying to have to rip it out. Have a little date with Jack the Ripper and fix it. So just check and then you can begin to sew. Let's do it. Here you can see that I've stitched my table runner blocks together. When pressing, I wanted to give you a quick tip. When pressing the seams between the blocks, you want to press toward the side with the fewer intersections. Here's an example. So in this example, I've got my star block here, my ornament block here, facing right sides down. The seam is here. I'm pressing it this way because there are fewer intersections on this ornament block than there are on the star block. The star block has 3 here. The ornament block has only 1 down there and those there. It'll be less bulk in the middle of the block if I press my seams toward the ornament block. Now we can sew on our borders. Here we have our fabric A and B. I've stitched the rectangles together to create the long border pieces for the border. So I'm going to pin and attach the borders. Then after that, we'll attach fabric C rectangles, which are the top and the bottom, or the short strips for the table runner. Here you can see I've sewn on the borders for the table runner. I want to let you know that I'm pressing the seams away from the block toward the border. So if you look on the back side, you can see I pressed the seam going toward the border right in here. That way it will be flatter when you're sewing the table runner. That will give you the best look for your table runner. I want to note that I am not having you press the seams open either between the blocks or along the borders because you may want to stitch in the ditch. This is such a simple table runner. You might want to stitch in the ditch and you want to make sure your seams are as strong as possible. So that way we're going to press the seams in one direction or another. So just check your pattern for the specific pressing directions. But for these borders, I'm pressing toward the border and away from the blocks. Now it's time to sew on our the tops, the short rectangles of our table runner. Here you can see my table runner on my design wall. I definitely think the whole is greater than the sum of the individual blocks, and I hope you agree. I've pressed the borders away from the blocks, the seams of the borders away from the blocks, and now I'm ready to add my batting and my backing, and then after that I will stitch in the ditch around all the blocks and the shapes and the borders, and then I will be able to attach my binding. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to show you those individual stages because you may have a different preference for the ways you want to do those things. I will, however, show you the final project at the end of this video. And here it is, the completed table runner made from my test blocks. This is from the It's Christmas Time Quilt Along. I hope you will go ahead and try to stitch up a table runner or two for holiday gifts. It's going to be fun, quick, and easy. Here's a short video of the table runner on the kitchen table at my home. I hope you enjoyed this bonus table runner pattern from the It's Christmas Time Quilt Along, and that you had fun throughout the holiday season sewing a little bit of home decor for you or for a gift for a loved one. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and tell a friend. Head on over to my blog at Decone Designs, where you can download this free table runner pattern and the other Quilt Along patterns by December 31st, 2021. Thank you for watching.